Hi everyone, welcome to YogeshTechCode. If you have heard about Microsoft Fabric but don't know where to start, this video is for you. In the next hour, we will build a complete understanding of Microsoft Fabric from scratch. We will cover architecture, OneLake, Lakehouse, Warehouse, Data Factory, Power BI, real-time intelligence, notebooks, pipeline, security, and an end-to-end project. So no prior experience is required. So first we will discuss about why Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric when Azure Data Factory, Synapse Analytics, Power BI and Azure Data Lake already existed. If all of these tools were already available, why introduce another platform? So in this video, I will explain the answer in the simplest way possible. Let's discuss about the old world, that is before Microsoft Fabric. So let's first understand how organizations used to build their data platforms. Imagine you are working on a data analytics project. First, you use Azure Data Factory to ingest data from different sources. Once the data is collected, you move it into the data lake for storage. After that, you use Azure Synapse Analytics to transform, process, and analyze the data. Finally, the business users connects Power BI to create the dashboards and reports, right? So at first glance, this seems like a good architecture, but there was one big problem. Every service was separate. Each one had its own portal, each one had its own security settings, each one had its own administration, each one had its own permissions, each one had its own billings, and sometimes even its own storage. So as a result, data engineers, data scientists, analysts, and administrators had to jump from one service to another just to complete a single project. So managing all these different tools became complex, time consuming, and expensive too. You understood? Now let's discuss about the challenge. So think about what happens when a company has to maintain multiple services. The data engineering team works in a one tool, the analytics team works in another, the reporting team uses a different platform, the security team has to configure permissions separately, the administrator has to monitor everything individually. So instead of focusing on solving business problem, teams spend their time managing the infrastructure. So this creates unnecessary complexity. So you understood what was the problem. So what happens after the Microsoft Fabric? So what changes the Microsoft Fabric? So Microsoft Fabric changes everything. Microsoft looked at this problem and asked a simple question. What if everything could work together inside a single platform? That's exactly what Microsoft Fabric is. Instead of using multiple disconnected services, Microsoft Fabric brings everything together. Data ingestion, data engineering, data science, data warehousing, real-time analytics, business intelligence, all inside one unified platform. With a single experience, a single security model, a single storage layer called OneLake, and a single administration experience. Now your teams don't need to switch between the multiple services. Everything is connected from the beginning. Let me explain you in a very simple analogy. So imagine you are cooking a dinner. In the old world, you had 5 different kitchens. One kitchen for cutting vegetables, another for cooking, a third for baking, fourth for washing dishes, and a fifth for serving food. So every time you wanted to prepare a meal, you had to walk between different kitchens. That is exactly how traditional data platforms work. Microsoft Fabric is like combining all those kitchens into one modern kitchen. Everything you need is in a one place. It is faster, simpler, and much easier to manage. That's why Microsoft Fabric is becoming the future of data analytics. It unifies all major data workloads into one powerful platform, making life easier for developers, administrators, and business users alike. In, in the next part, we will explore the core components of Microsoft Fabric and understand how they work together. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with anyone learning Microsoft Fabric. So we learned why Microsoft Fabric was introduced and the problem it solves. So now we are going to answer one of the most important question, that is, why exactly is Microsoft Fabric? So many people think Microsoft Fabric is just another Microsoft service, but that's not true. Microsoft Fabric is much bigger than a single service. It is a complete end-to-end data analytics platform that brings everything together in one place. By the end of this video, you will clearly understand why Microsoft Fabric calls it as a unified analytics platform. So let's get started. First, we will see what is Microsoft Fabric. Microsoft Fabric is a software as a service, that is a SaaS analytic platform. Instead of installing multiple applications or managing separate services, everything runs inside your web browser. You simply sign in to Microsoft Fabric and all your data tools are available in one place. Whether you are a data engineer, data scientist, or data analyst, a business intelligence developer, or even an administrator, everyone works inside the same platform. No switching between the different portals, no managing separate environments, everything is integrated. That is the biggest advantage of Microsoft Fabric. So we are discussing about a SaaS platform, that is a SaaS, software as a service platform. So this is the key concept. If you know about the SaaS platform, one SaaS platform, that is SaaS stands for software as a service. Think about applications like Gmail or Microsoft 365 or Netflix. You don't install servers, you don't configure operating systems, you don't worry about the software updates. You simply open your browser and start using the services. So Microsoft Fabric works in exactly the same way. Microsoft manages everything, that is the infrastructure, server, operating system, software updates, high availability, scalability. Everything will be managed by Microsoft only. As users, we only focus on building the solutions. This saves the organization's huge amount of time and the operational efforts. The another advantage of using Microsoft Fabric is a one user interface. Before Microsoft Fabric, you had to open the different services for different tasks. For example, Azure Data Factory for data ingestion, Azure Synapse for analytics, Power BI for reports, and Azure Data Lake for storage. So every tool had a different interface, right? So different navigation is there, different settings are there, different learning curve. So with Microsoft Fabric, everything is available inside one portal. Whether you are creating a pipeline or building a lake house, suppose you are running any Spark notebooks or creating a warehouse or designing the Power BI reports, everything happens inside the same workspace. You don't need to keep switching between the multiple browser tabs. This makes the development faster and much easier. The next topic I would like to tell you about the OneLake, that is a one storage. When different services are there and they are into the one portal, so there is a storage required, and that is the Microsoft Fabric provides only one storage for everything, and that is called as the OneLake. This is the biggest innovation in the Microsoft Fabric. That is the OneLake. Okay. Traditionally, every analytics service stores data separately, as we have discussed earlier. This often resulted into the multiple copies of the same data. Imagine your sales data. What happens with the sales data? That is one copy for reporting, another copy for machine learning, another copy for data engineering, another copy for analytics. Storage cost increased, synchronization became difficult, data consistency became a challenge. So Microsoft Fabric solves this problem using OneLake. OneLake is a single centralized storage layer for your entire organization. What I said, OneLake is a single centralized storage layer for your entire organization. Every Fabric workload reads from and writes to the same storage. No unnecessary duplication. One source of truth, lower storage cost, simpler data management. Think of OneLake as your OneDrive for enterprise data. So just as a OneDrive stores all your files in one place, OneLake stores all your organizational data in one unified location. Let's now discuss about the security. If storage is at a one place, if everything is at a one place, so security, that is also only at a one place, that is one security. You don't need to manage security for every different tools. In traditional architectures, each service had its own security model. So administrators had to configure permissions separately. So this increased complexity. Microsoft Fabric introduces one security model. Permissions are managed centrally. Once users receive the required access, they can work across Fabric workloads without configuring security again and again. This improves the governance while reducing the administrative overhead. Now let's understand what is meant by the governance, because our security model improves the governance. So we need to understand what is governance. In this, the data governance is also managed by only one governance. So governance is the another major strength of Microsoft Fabric. Organizations need to know who created the data, who modified it, then who accessed it, is the data certified, can everyone trust it? So Microsoft Fabric provides a centralized governance across the platform. So instead of managing governance separately for different services, everything is managed together. This improves compliance, auditing, and data quality. So organizations can confidently use data knowing that the proper governance policies are consistently applied. Now let's discuss about the billing. So previously, every Azure service generates its own bills. For Azure Data Factory, a different bill, Snap, storage, Power BI, monitoring, networking, tracking costs become difficult. Microsoft Fabric simplifies this with a capacity-based pricing model. So instead of monitoring multiple service bills, organizations manage their Fabric capacity and allocate resources according to their workloads. This makes cost management much easier and more predictable. I hope you understood these terms. So let's move to the Microsoft Fabric architecture. See, at the center, this is the Microsoft Fabric. Below it is a OneLake, the unified storage layer. Above OneLake, different workloads operates on the same data. That is data factory, data engineering, data science, data warehouse, real-time intelligence, and Power BI. Notice something important. All these workloads shares one user interface, one storage, one security, one governance, and one billing. That's what makes Microsoft Fabric a truly unified analytics platform. So what we have seen, let's recap it quickly. So Microsoft Fabric provides one SaaS platform, one user interface, one lake storage, one security model, one governance framework, and one billing experience. So instead of managing multiple disconnected services, organizations can now build their complete analytics solution inside a single platform. That's the real power of Microsoft Fabric. Let's move forward. Now we will see the Microsoft Fabric components. If you are new to Fabric, you might feel overwhelmed. by the names like data factory, data engineering, OneLake, real time intelligence, and data warehouse. But don't worry, by the end of this lesson, you will know exactly what each component does and more importantly, when to use it. To make things easy, we will use one practical example throughout the video. Imagine we work for a large online shopping company like Amazon or Flipkart. Every day, millions of customers place orders, make payments, search for products, and leave reviews. Our goal is to collect all this data, process it, analyze it, and create a business report. So let's see how each Microsoft Fabric component help us to accomplish this task. So let's see the Microsoft Fabric components overview. So Microsoft Fabric consists of several integrated workloads. The major components are like data factory, data engineering, data warehouse, data science, Power BI, real-time intelligence, and OneLake. Although each component has a different purpose, they all work together inside the same platform. So let's understand them one by one. First, we will see the data factory. Okay, so think of data factory as the transportation system of your data. Its main job is to move data from one place to another. Suppose our online shopping company stores the customer information in SQL Server, orders in Oracle database, website logs in Azure storage, sales data in CSV files, and CRM data in Salesforce. Instead of manually downloading and uploading files every day, we create a pipelines in data factory. So these pipelines automatically collect data from different systems and load it into the Microsoft Fabric. You can schedule them to run every hour, every day, and even every few minutes. So whenever someone asks what is a data factory, you can simply answer data factory is responsible for the data ingestion and orchestration. It brings data into the fabric automatically. Our second component is data engineering. Now our raw data has arrived, but raw data is rarely clean. Customers' names may have extra spaces, dates may have different formats, duplicate records may exist, some values may be missing. So this is where data engineering comes in. Data engineers use Apache Spark notebooks, PySpark, SQL, and other tools to clean and transform data. Imagine our orders table contains customer name John. See the table I have shown here. The customer name column contains John multiple times with a different spelling. All three represent the same customer. A data engineering notebook standardizes these values into one consistent format. It also joins different datasets. For example, orders, customers, products, payment, shipping. Everything gets combined into one clean dataset ready for the analysis. So think of data engineering as the data cleaning and preparation department. Without data engineering, reports will always be inaccurate. Let's move to our third component, that is data warehouse. Once the data is clean, where should it be stored for business reporting? The answer is data warehouse. A data warehouse stores structured and business ready data. Imagine your company CEO asked you what were the total sales last month, or what are our top selling products, or maybe which city generated the highest revenue. So these questions require fast SQL queries. So instead of reading the raw files every time, we load processed data into the data warehouse. Here is the data is organized into the tables optimized for analytics. So business analysts can now write the SQL queries efficiently. For example, sales fact table, or customer dimension, product dimension, date dimension. So this makes reporting extremely fast. So remember, data engineering prepares data, data warehouse stores the business ready data. The next component is data science. Now imagine management asks a different question. Instead of asking what happened yesterday, they ask what will happen next month. So this is where data science comes in. Data scientists build machine learning models. For example, predict customer churn or predict product demand, detect fraudulent transactions, or recommend the product, forecast the sale. So suppose our shopping company wants to know which customers are likely to stop purchasing. So using historical purchase data stored in a fabric, data scientists build the predictive models. These predictions help the marketing team send personalized offers. Data science transforms the historical data into the future insights. The next component is the Power BI. Now we have data, but managers don't want SQL queries. They want dashboards. This is where the Power BI comes in. Power BI converts data into interactive visual reports. Imagine a sales dashboard displaying total sales, monthly revenue, top customers, top products, regional sales, then profit trends. So instead of reading the thousands of rows, executives immediately understand the business performance. Power BI helps decision makers answer questions within seconds. That's why it is one of the most popular business intelligence tool in the world. The next component we will see is a real-time intelligence. Until now, we have worked with historical data, but some businesses cannot wait for hourly or daily updates. They need information instantly. This is where real-time intelligence becomes important. Imagine a food delivery company. Orders arrives every second. Drivers are moving continuously, so customers are tracking the deliveries live. Managers want dashboards updating every few seconds. Real-time intelligence process stream data immediately. Some practical examples, we can say IoT sensors, stock market data or fraud detection, or manufacturing equipment monitoring, vehicle GPS tracking is one of the example. Then instead of waiting until tomorrow, business can react instantly. So that is the power of real-time intelligence. The next component is OneLake. Finally, let's talk about the OneLake. OneLake is the foundation of Microsoft Fabric. Every workload we have discussed today stores and reads data from the OneLake. Think of OneLake as a huge digital warehouse. Instead of keeping the separate copies of data for every department, everyone accesses the same centralized storage. Data factory loads data. Data engineering transforms data. Data warehouse stores that structural or structured tables. Power BI creates the reports and data science builds models on that reports. Real-time intelligence processes the streaming events, but all of them use the same storage platform. So this eliminates the duplication of data, reduces the storage cost, and ensures everyone works from a single source of truth. So putting everything together, let's review the complete flow using our online shopping company example. Suppose customer places an order, then the data factory collects data from the multiple systems. Data engineering cleans and transforms it. Processed data is stored inside the data warehouse. Data science predicts future sales and customer behavior. Power BI creates the dashboards. Real-time intelligence monitors the live events, and everything is stored inside the OneLake. So this is the complete Microsoft Fabric ecosystem. Let's recap the session. That data factory collects and moves data. Data engineering cleans and transforms data. Data warehouse stores business ready structured data. Data science builds machine learning and AI model. Power BI creates the interactive reports and dashboards. Real time intelligence processes live streaming data. And the OneLake is a unified storage used by every Fabric workload. So each component has its own responsibility, but together they create one powerful analytics platform. I hope you understood about the OneLake and the components of the Microsoft Fabric.
Congratulations! You now understand what Microsoft Fabric is and why Microsoft built it. In this video, we learned how all the Fabric components work together, from data factory to OneLake, to create a complete analytics platform. But this is only the beginning. In the next video, we'll dive deep into OneLake architecture and understand why Microsoft calls it the OneDrive for data. We'll also explore Lakehouse, workspace, capacity, and many more Microsoft Fabric concepts with practical examples. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to YogeshTechCode. Tell me in the comments which Microsoft Fabric component would you like me to explain next, or simply comment part 2 if you're ready for the next lesson.